She'll knock this shit out. She'll be sitting down. Yeah. Okay. She's sitting down.
It's never quiet when Quentin Tarantino fires a star. It's not fading out, it's going off. He doesn't ghost people. He gets rid of them. Tarantino doesn't understand subtlety.
Question, I'm not your slave and you're not my master. Tune.
You
can't make me dance to you.
If he feels betrayed, he will support a performance until the end of his days or burn the bridge in public. For Quentin, commitment is like a movie, and lying is too. He has been making works that cross genres for more than 30 years, like Reservoir Dogs, Django Unchained, and Glorious Bastard. Each one was dripping with style, attitude, and complete power. The set is holy to him, and he's very good at casting. He doesn't change when the chemistry is off. He ejects. People have said that Tarantino is crazy, clever, hard to work with, and revolutionary. But there is a hard line behind that talent. It doesn't just cut you, it rewrites you if you're on the wrong side of it. That's clear from pulp novels like Jackie Brown and The Hateful Eight. Author Tarantino writes more than just speech, he also writes myths. However, those myths only come to life when performers use his energy. The fight is very dangerous when they don't. He hasn't really had any real competition to show him another way to do things during his time. He's worked with famous people like Uma Thurman, Samuel L. Jackson, Christoph Waltz, and Brad Pitt. Here are the 6 stars that Quentin Tarantino wouldn't let into his movie world and the reasons he never went back. You'll understand why he hated these stars by the end. George Clooney is number 1. At first glance, Clooney and Tarantino seemed like a good match. They worked together on the vampire crime mix From Dusk Till Dawn, which gave Clooney his big break in movies and gave Quentin a chance to show what he could do as a scriptwriter and co-star. The movie became a rare classic, but they never worked together again. Plus, the reason wasn't kept secret. It was said straight out. Years later, Tarantino said, "George Clooney is not a movie star." He didn't say it in a soft way, he said it straight out. Not only did he question Clooney's fame, he went even further and challenged people to name one Clooney masterpiece made after 2000. Clooney didn't brush it off. He said the comment made him angry, but then he defended his job. Ocean's 11, Syriana, and Michael Clayton are used as proof, but by that time there was no more respect. Tarantino's criticism wasn't easy to take. He sticks to the rules. He likes actors who disappear into their parts more than actors who bring their red carpet charisma to every scene. To Tarantino, George Clooney stood for the polish of Hollywood. She was safe, desirable, and smooth. She wasn't dangerous or raw, and she didn't fit in with Tarantino's violent, chaotic, and bloody world. Clooney never got close to Quentin again after From Dusk Till Dawn. There were no guests, scripts, or even hints of a reunion. When you think about how often Tarantino uses the same players over many years, that silence said a lot. Clooney moved forward. His job went through the roof. Oscars, movies, and directors. However, Tarantino stopped using his name. When interviewed, Quentin never changed his mind about it. They didn't say sorry or miss them. They just kept quiet and looked down their noses at them. In a business where connections are important, Clooney wasn't clashed with. He was cut out, not with showmanship but with dismissal. That's worse than a fight in Tarantino's world. They are taking that out of the final cut. Bruce Willis comes in second. When pulp literature came out in 1994, it brought careers back to life. A pulp story changed what it meant to be cool and brought independent films into the mainstream. For Bruce Willis, it saved his life. His career was full of films that didn't do well at the box office or with critics. The Color of Night, Striking Distance, and The Hudson Hawk. Even though Tarantino gave him a second chance, sparks never changed into fire behind the scenes. The snark and Hollywood swagger that Willis is known for clashed with Tarantino's obsessive, uncompromising style. Every story is holy before Quentin. Each word and beat was fixed. While Willis was used to improvising and taking over sets, he didn't always stick to that pace. He made stars shine. Tarantino wants people to give in. Crew members said the stress was heavy and couldn't be avoided. Quentin didn't trust Willis because he seemed too aware of how he looked and wasn't the type of actor who could disappear into a role. Travolta and Jackson became lifelong friends of Tarantino, but Willis stayed on the outside. Not a link and not working together again. He doesn't talk about him much now, years later. He says nice things about the Pulp Fiction ensemble, but he never says anything nice about Willis. There is no open animosity. There is erasure. And in Tarantino's world, nothing is said in quiet. He uses his favorites over and over again like a repair business. But the fact that Willis isn't there says more than words. Willis has been polite and has never made fun of Quentin. He has also never given Pulp Fiction the credit it deserves for bringing his career back to life. Being loyal gets you a legacy in Tarantino's world. If you step out of time, you'll be gone. Willis, shown in one movie, stole a few scenes and then stopped being in Tarantino's circle of friends. Third on the list is Lawrence Tierney. He played the tough old man in Reservoir Dogs. He was a stone-faced noir figure with the kind of menace Tarantino loved. It looked like a great idea to cast Lawrence Tierney as Joe Cat until the cameras started rolling and chaos broke out. There was more going on with him than your average diva problem. He was moody and hard to guess. Tierney sometimes forgot her lines, got angry with team members, and was always fighting with Tarantino. He even got into a yelling match with Quentin over how to block a scene at one point. When Tierney stormed off, Tarantino followed him outside and fired him right then. This is how Quentin later explained it. It was like dealing with your crazy uncle who hasn't taken his medicine in a while. That wasn't making things up. Other actors agreed that it was crazy. Michael Madsen remembered how Tierney's appearance changed the set's whole mood. Every day turned into a risk. Could they get a scene done before Tierney lost it? It was impossible for Tarantino, who is a perfectionist who lives for detail and buzz. He didn't think twice about directing his first full-length movie when he was only 29 years old. Tierney wasn't just fired for no reason. It was about them. That role was written just for him by Quentin. As soon as things got bad though, Quentin emotionally cut Tierney off long before shooting was over. Tierney never went back to Tarantino's world after Reservoir Dogs. There were no appearances or phone calls, just silence. For Quentin, that was the final shot. There was no drama, just plenty of space. Even after Reservoir Dogs became a cult classic, Tarantino never talked about Tierney in his writings. There were no stories, no honors, just a piece that was missing. It was like Tierney had erased himself from Tarantino's past by crossing a line that the director had carved in concrete instead of sand. You stay on the wrong side of that concrete once you get there. Spike Lee comes in at number 4. There wasn't any creative conflict here. It was a fight in public. There is a fight between two giants over race, writing, and who can tell which stories. Spike Lee doesn't bite his tongue. With Jackie Brown, which came out in 1997, Tarantino took a direct shot at Quentin's use of the N-word. Lee said, "I'm not against the word. I use it, but Quentin can't get enough of it. What would he like to be? A black man by honor." It was more than just criticism. It was an attack on Tarantino's whole way of telling stories. Tarantino didn't hold back. His answer was direct, sharp, and not sorry. I feel sorry for Spike Lee if he can't value Jackie Brown. He is not allowed to tell other artists what they can or cannot say. Then came the famous line, "Spike needs to shut the asterisk up." That was the end of the break for good. The fight started up again when Django Unchained came out. Lee wouldn't watch because he thought it was disrespectful to my family. Even more fire was fired back by Tarantino. He seems to be upset that I'm doing it better than him. He's mad that I'm making the dark films that he wants to make. That wasn't an argument. It was war, and no one said sorry. There is no middle ground. If you look at Tarantino's work, he's worked with almost every type of character except those friends of Spike Lee. Their lives don't touch. There won't be any panels, interviews, or acts of mutual respect. One quote, "He's just mad because I'm making the black films he wishes he could make." Locked it up. It's not just rude. Last but not least, Steve Buscemi as Mr. Pink in Reservoir Dogs. He helped Tarantino become a director, and gave one of the most famous rants in independent film history. Something strange did happen after the movie, though. Buscemi was slowly wiped from Tarantino's world. Even though he was very talented and loyal at first, fans made guesses, and stories grew. The tipping argument is the most well-known example. At the beginning of Reservoir Dogs, BMI's character goes on a long, angry rant about why he doesn't tip waiters. People say, "Don't tip these girls. Those people are just doing their job." People on the set say it wasn't just a planned moment, but it became one of the movie's most memorable lines. Reports from the team say that the dialogue may have come from BMI himself. He had said similar things off camera, which Tarantino didn't like. Quentin joked with his staff years later, If BMI ever wants to come back in one of my films, he'll play a waiter. It wasn't really a joke though. That part never came. When asked why BMI wasn't cast in Kill Bill or Pulp Fiction, Tarantino laughed it off. People only get one shot sometimes. That's it. A cold answer. Especially since Michael Madsen and Tim Roth, two actors who were in Reservoir Dogs, went on to play similar roles in other movies. Summy never said anything bad in public. He built a career with roles in Fargo, Boardwalk Empire, and many more. Fans saw that Tarantino never called again though. Being known for bringing old stars back to life and using loyal ones again, that quiet was loud. BMI once said in an interview, "I haven't heard from Quentin in a long time, but I hope everything goes well for him." Polite and far away. In Tarantino's world, people don't always blow up when they're mad. They sometimes fade away slowly, until the name of a character is erased from the casting board for good. The sixth person is Warren Beatty. He was almost the Bill from Kill Bill, not just any bad guy but the main character. Quentin wrote the part with Beatty in mind, basing the character's sly menace and sad weight on the actor's famous cool. It was supposed to be a new start or a comeback, but the team broke up before they could shoot a single frame. Richard Bruce met with Tarantino. It fell apart quickly after they talked about the part, shaped the character and even drew out its lines. The problem was that Beatty, who was also a director, wanted to help with notes, changes in tone and so on. But Quentin wasn't looking for a co-author. He was writing a revenge opera and had his own vision in mind. David Carradine, who was eventually replaced Beatty, later put it all together. Warren was trying to guide Quentin, but Quentin doesn't play that the tension was real and lasting. In public, Tarantino never said bad things about Beatty, but his silence said a lot. Later, they were asked why the hiring changed. His answer was short and easy to understand. It was not going to work. Someone who knew it wasn't their story was what I needed. That line said everything. For Tarantino, writing means everything. He owns every frame, beat, and word. Beatty's ideas weren't working together, they were getting in the way. The part suddenly changed hands and went to Carradine. There was no big deal or statement, it was just a quiet swap. After Beatty left, Carradine would say that Quentin seemed lighter and more energized, like a weight had been taken off of him. Beatty, on the other hand, didn't say anything. No anger, no interviews, no public grudges, just not being there. They never ran into each other again. There will be no panels, concerts, or second chances. Their clean break was almost shocking in a business that is built on recovery stories. Someone who knew it wasn't their story was what I needed. He never said anything else about it. In the world of films, that was the end of Warren Beatty. A finish. People don't just need to be talented to work with Quentin Tarantino. It's about trust, loyalty, and giving up all control to follow his goal. No matter how famous you are, if you get out of sync, your name goes away. There were no rewrites or reunions, there was only quiet, like and subscribe, to get more stories from behind the camera that aren't told. Also, let us know in the comments which star you think should be on this list.